Today I'll be talking about the magic of Ren and Stimpy. To give a little backstory on my relationship with the show, I never really watched it as a young child. I did catch an episode or two one time at a friend's house, but I really don't remember much from it at all. So when I went into the show just recently, it really was brand new to me. Like I said, as of recent I've been watching the show, and I thought I'd talk about the magical feeling it gives me. It's very unique, and I know it's been covered a lot, but I wanted to throw in my 2 cents. Let me preface this point by saying this. I love old cartoon backgrounds from the classic shorts from the likes of Looney Tunes, the Jetsons, etc. One of the best things I think Ren and Stimpy does are the backgrounds. They're so simplistic, but that's what gives them their charm. They feel like old Looney Tunes backgrounds. The colors pop well, and it just makes the show feel like something from the 50s or 60s, but with modern elements. Also, I do realize this show was made about 30 years ago, so it is pretty old, but these simple backgrounds are more commonly found in older cartoons. As time went on, shows evolved, and now we have really detailed backgrounds, which are fine, not knocking them whatsoever, but there's something so special about really simplistic and to-the-point backgrounds. On top of being pleasing to look at, I find simple backgrounds as a source of inspiration, because I know if I wanted to make a show or animated short that I don't need extensive backgrounds. It proves that simplistic backgrounds can be enough. Now on to the animation and comedy. This is probably about the first thing everyone talks about when reviewing the show, but it's worth mentioning. The animation is just beautiful. It's very wacky and expressive. It looks like a little bit more stylized Disney film from the 50s. A lot of the comedy here in the show is visual, and they do a wonderful job. No two frames are the same. The way they stretch and bend these characters, the way they put immaculate detail on things like close-ups of teeth, is great. I mean, it makes a really lovely contrast from, well, what I was talking about earlier, simplistic backgrounds. The colors in the show pop great. Now that I'm done gushing about the animation, let's talk about the comedy. Like I briefly mentioned earlier, there's a lot of visual comedy here. I think it's done really well, and honestly is better than SpongeBob in that regard. And I love SpongeBob. The design and just names and basic ideas of some characters are absolutely hilarious, like Powdered Toast Man. The comedy is really quite adult and disturbing at times, and I love it.
Oh, what I'm gonna do to you. First, I'm gonna tear your lips out. Yeah. I'm gonna gouge your eyes out.
I really feel like Ren and Stimpy could have aired on Nick at Night. That's what I love about not only this show, but a lot of old Nick shows. Actually, just a lot of old shows in general. I'm a teenager, and I still love these things. The shows they used to make were enjoyable for all age ranges. They had something for the kids, the teenagers, the adults, the elders. They had something for everyone. This is what I feel like is missing from a lot of modern cartoons, especially Nickelodeon ones. The sound design and voice acting also stands out and adds to this magical feeling the show gives. I feel like really the sound design is about right on par with the backgrounds in relation to how magical it feels. The background music really helps elevate the scenes it's in, and again makes me think of old classic cartoons. Basically, this show is just a bit more modern and adult classic era cartoon. Speaking of classic, I love the use of classical music, as it is one of my favorite genres. But while the music is amazing in its own right, let's talk about what really pushes this show. The sound effects. The sound effects they chose here were just perfect. It reminds me of the way Ed, Edd and Eddy uses sound. Hell, that may have been where the people behind Ed, Edd and Eddy got the idea. Regardless, it just makes the show so much more immersive. It sucks you in and it's ear candy. Again, like Ed, Edd and Eddy, it uses some really interesting sounds that not many cartoons use. Sound is actually really important to making something eye-catching. Well, in this case, ear-catching. But also just making it stand out. Sound design is severely underrated and overlooked when reviewing. Except when talking about Ed, Edd and Eddy, of course. On top of the beauty of the music and sound effects, we have voice acting. Billy West and John Kay just do a phenomenal job portraying their characters. Ren is more of a bitter, controlling, kind of dark, disturbing, schemy kind of guy. And the voice just matches that.
I'm gonna gouge your eyes out.
Billy West, on the other hand, plays a great contrast. A more sweet, fun-loving, basically comic relief dummy. And it just works so well.
What'll we do till then?
He makes him sound so innocent, and it really adds to his character. Speaking of characters, let's talk about them. As I said, Ren is the controlling, bitter, dark, disturbing, and at the end of the day, funny character. Stimpy, as I said, is more of the best friend, dumb comic relief character, but dumb in a good way. It's not like Fanboy and Chum Chum. Stimpy actually has a heart and is funny, not boring, and not too dumb that it's annoying. I notice most every show with two main characters does the whole odd couple thing, and I totally get why, but it gets kind of boring. But the show does it exquisitely. You also have to remember, this was probably one of the first animated shows to do so. Other characters like Powdered Toast Man and Mr. Horse just add to this wacky, zany world. They're just so interesting and different, while also being funny. I think my favorite character, though, is Stimpy. Just a fun one to watch, but the duo together is better, honestly. Next up is shorts. The little shorts they do add so much to this show. Or I guess you could call them commercials, but fun commercials, not real commercials. I love the vlog ones. The things they come up with are just great, and they give me so many laughs. The idea itself is just so ridiculous, but it is executed so well. Execution is key. I really think these add a lot of value to the show. It's a nice break in between episodes, and again, adds to that classic cartoon vibe. Also what makes it so magical. It's hard to describe magic and feelings, but I'm trying my best. To me, classic cartoons make me feel something so indescribable. And so when something else replicates that feeling, I love it. And the show does, it really does. But it adds to that. It's more than just a magical feeling. It's also funny, visually appealing, and entertaining. I bet 95% of you who are watching this have already seen the show, but if you somehow haven't, sit down and check out an episode or two. If you're like me, you really won't be disappointed. There's a lot to love here, and I'm glad I got into it. I love shows like Rugrats and Rocco, but this feels different. It's special. It's magical. With that being said, this show does have some flaws. I'm not personally a huge Gross Out fan. It's alright in small amounts, but I feel like Ren and Stimpy just pushes it a little too far. But that may be fine for some other people. Another thing is, the show doesn't have much structure, which I guess is fine. I'm not really watching it for the story. But, like, they literally live in different places in different episodes. So, there isn't too much consistency. I also feel like some of the stories in the later episodes weren't as enjoyable, but again, like I said, I'm not really watching these for the stories. Oh, and I love Billy West, but I was just not a huge fan when they replaced John Kay with him for Ren's voice. But, other than those few nitpicks, really they're nitpicks, I really enjoy this show. If you enjoyed the review, please give the video a like and comment your opinions, suggestions, critiques, whatever in the comments below. It's very much appreciated. Please also share this around to other Ren and Stimpy fans or people you're trying to convince to watch the show. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to y'all later.